Happy Friday. Happy Friday night, everyone. Hope everybody have a is I should say is having a blessed Friday. Whether you about to go out or you winding down, please like and subscribe. If you just coming in here being nosy, just go ahead and press that like button, please. And if subscribe if you like to hear about football or HBCU football or any type of football. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm gonna bring on my panel. Of course, I got my co-host, Coach 67 Sports TV, Mr. Southern, in the building. What's going on, sir? A little static there.
All is well, bro. I'm blessed and highly favored.
All right.
Hopefully everyone is having a blessed Friday. Can you hear me now, bro?
Oh, you just awesome. I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me now, bro?
Yeah, we can hear you, bro.
In
I
fact,
think there's a delay there.
I'm gonna log off and log back home.
All right, that's cool.
Oh, all right. So,
See, there's a delay.
all
But JB, how you doing, sir? While we waiting for Coach to come back on.
Hey, man, I'm blessed to make it another week, bro.
Awesome. I know we didn't have a show last Sunday or Friday. Usually our show is Sunday, 7 p.m. But I had a lot of things to do, a lot of obligations I had to take care of. So we're going to try to um, conversate you guys with a show tonight, which I'm doing now, and the show Sunday. So you guys stay tuned. J Bar saying salute J Bar. Appreciate you joining us. Coach is back.
can you hear me now, bro?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I'm doing well. Hopefully everyone else is doing well. Hopefully everyone else is enjoying their Friday evening, Friday night. And let's get it.
Yes, sir. All right. Now, first of all, I do want to say that I noticed lately. Um, well, I wouldn't say lately, but I just want to talk about it, me myself personally. Like, there's a high school in North Carolina, that was just stripped of their high school championship football championship from last year, of course, because they found out that they had a few ineligible players on their squad, meaning they were overaged or didn't have the grades, and they still played them anyway. So my question to you, starting with Coach, since you in that field, um, how did something like that get slipped through the cracks?
Well, bro, it's a variety of different things that can happen. Um, I'll just kind of give you an example. Tonight, myself and my former assistant coach, school where I teach, a couple of our players are seniors in high school. Like the last team, him and I coached together where I teach. They were eighth graders then, but they're seniors in high school now. And we was talking to one of her parents. She was a teacher at the school where I teach, but her son, he's a senior also. He went to another middle school, in our district. So anyway, so basically she was saying how like certain players that they recruited to bring into their program, whether they play, because our son, he plays football and baseball. So whether these players, you know, play football or baseball, like certain players that they brought in, they recruited to come to that particular school, they weren't eligible at a certain time frame. So in certain instances, uh, I know in Louisiana, like if you transfer from one school to another school, there's a certain time frame that you have to sit out. You and I talked about this behind the scenes a little bit earlier. In some instances, you might have to sit out a certain time frame. In other instances, it may be academics, and then you might have other instances where players they might not have the grades, or they may be are too old, or whatever the case may be, and coaches play those particular players anyway. Just to kind of give you another example, like this one kid, like he was a superstar on the middle school level. He was a star on the high school level. He was on the shorter side, maybe like a Trenton Holiday type of player. So evidently, like one of the local high schools that's right down the street from Southern, they went out of state to play school in Mississippi. Now I don't know how true it is, but allegedly, this kid, he graduated from high school last year. Evidently, people was talking about he could potentially go to Southern and play wide receiver. And I'm like, I don't see it, because Southern is extremely deep at the wide receiver position. So anyway, so allegedly, this kid, when they went to play against the school in Mississippi, this powerhouse school in Mississippi, of course they got beat down. But in addition to that, supposedly this kid who graduated last year, I guess they tried to play him in that game and he got injured. So if that's the case, then that head coach is going to lose his job, for one. And second of all, that school, they could get severely penalized, sanctioned, whatever the case may be. So in certain instances, a variety of different things, kids may have to sit out, and they might not necessarily let them sit out when they're supposed to sit out, whether it's due to them being too old, them not having the grades from an academic standpoint, or whatever the case may
Yes,
be.
sir.
And,
Yes,
in
sir.
some instances, the coaches might be unaware of their situation, and in other instances, coaches could knowingly play players that they shouldn't play. Even if we use Southern for example, Gerard Sims was supposed to be a senior this year. Like they say the reason why he's not eligible for his senior year because he's academically ineligible. So the Prop 209 thing is not as big when I was going to Southern, but for whatever reason, maybe he wasn't going to class. Whatever the case may be. So at the end of the day, from a coaching standpoint, it's incumbent upon, coaches to have your paperwork in order. Because I'm not even gonna lie, me personally, that was one thing I was always bad with. From the X's and O's standpoint, practice structure, those type of things, I was always good. But in terms of having players' paperwork in order, I might have most of it, but maybe I forgot to print out a copy of his health insurance card, copy of his birth certificate, his grades, or whatever the case may be. So, on the middle school level, the rules have kind of changed in the district I'm in this year. But even with that being said, they still require you to have like all the proper documentation and paperwork in terms of grades, health insurance card, birth certificate, so on and so forth. So, there's a variety of different things that can happen. But at the end of the day, basically, sometimes coaches, they slip through the cracks and these players play unknowingly. And in other instances, coaches knowingly play players that they shouldn't play.
Man, good take. And I want to say salute to Big Joe Townsend. Appreciate you coming by, sir. And also, JB, I brought this up before the show about the high school in North Carolina who won the 4AA state championship, and they had to forfeit uh, all their games last year, and I believe their state championship, and they're under probation, and they owe, I believe, the they owe, I think, the county some money. I could be wrong. What you think about that, JB?
If they wasn't doing what they was supposed to, as far as the rules and regulations, you know what I'm saying? I mean, in some high school states, high school football is just more um, popular, important, however you want to call it. Like college. You know what I'm saying? They take their high school football stuff seriously in some states. So if they wasn't doing the correct thing, then they deserve to get punished.
I just found out just reading it, and they basically were caught um, giving students passing grades, and they didn't deserve it.
Well, I mean, well, I'm gonna be real with you. I think a lot of schools
Do that.
that you think don't do that. They just smart enough to make it not noticeable. Um, I think they just was obvious. I guess to whoever school that was we're talking about in North Carolina. But that's wild.
Yeah, they know. Oh, and I said the county. They owe the North Carolina High School Sports Association. Um, they owe them 38,000 because of the
I,
forfeited games.
Whoa.
man, man, was it worth it?
Hey, if and I'm gonna tell you this: if you're a team, don't matter if you high school, college, whatever, especially high school and college, and you're in a state, especially in the South, that love their football, and you're a squad that normally don't win state championships, you got to know the microscope is going to be on you. The spotlight is going to be, so everybody who envies you, everybody that's watching you is definitely going to be looking out to make sure your ducks are in a row. So, man, I just feel bad for those kids. Because of course, if you a 14 or 15-year-old kid, and you know that you're not passing this grade, but all you know is football. You know what I mean? And of course, there is some responsibility. Of course, you don't expect the kid to be like, "Yeah, this is wrong. I'm not gonna play." No, that a lot of times they're not going to do that. So they're going to be like, "Shit, all right, let's do it. As long as I can play football and my team win, I'm down for it because adults are down with it." So my heart do go out for the kids.
Well, bro, it's ironic that you bring that up because you and I talk behind the scenes all the time. First of all, going to the giving your grade point that y'all made, like there's a school that's down the street from Southern University. It's a PWI. The biggest institution in the state. Allegedly, they're synonymous for giving student athletes, especially like star players, grades.
Yes, J Bar.
Yeah, so y'all know what institution I'm talking about. But back to the
Yes, sir. Yeah.
that make it's crazy. I was talking about earlier how in the middle school district that I'm in, some changes have been made. Uh, you know, last year I was the head coach of another school. This year I'm assistant coach at another school. But the reason why I was the head coach of another school last year, because after COVID, the COVID year we didn't play football. And then the last 2 seasons I didn't have enough players to have a team. So what they did was the lady that was over GRAA, the Association for Middle School, essentially she stepped down and they changed all the guidelines. So now sixth grade students were allowed to play middle school ball in the district I'm in. In addition to that, uh, like before, kids couldn't play for the school and for outside like district or outside league, outside team, like a recreational league, a Pop Warner league, whatever. So they couldn't. Sixth graders couldn't play. They couldn't play in another team during the same season outside of middle school. And lastly, the kids had to have a 1.5 GPA to play. All three of those rules have been waived. So now they don't need any grades. You can have a 0.00.
Wow.
You can play. In addition to that, you can play for the school team and maybe like a Pop Warner League team or a Brett team or some type of other association team. And lastly, basically, so sixth graders could play. They don't need any grades, and they could play for an outside team. So those three things hindered me the last 2 years, in the fact that once they got everything cleared up, I'm no longer the coach. So now I'm the coach at another school. So it's crazy. In the school that I was the head coach of last year, they didn't have enough players to play. And like JB was saying earlier, when you low on numbers, because I've coached a few teams where I have like 12, 13, 14, 15 kids, and we playing against a school that has like 44 players, where you only have certain players that only play special teams, and certain players only play offense, certain players only play defense. It's difficult when my players are playing offense, defense, and special teams, yet they have players that might be only playing in one aspect or one phase on one side of the ball. So it's difficult when you short on numbers and the other team is fully stocked with players. That's a difficult situation. So that's why I say, as a coach, more so than basketball, football is a numbers game.
Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. And Jay Barr said in the chat, like Texas don't play no games. Yeah, they don't. They don't. If you a damn Dallas Sunset or Conrad or a Conroe High School, and all of a sudden you winning games and you beating the powerhouses that you normally don't beat, best believe people gonna be all in your business and checking your paperwork and making sure you doing what you're supposed to.
Bro, I can relate because like you were saying, all of those rules I told you that they wiped away and they got rid of. Like, if you were a team that was like a bottom tier team, now all of a sudden you're in playoff contention, trust me, they're gonna see, not this year because the rules are different, but years past. Like, hold up, they only won one game last year, now they're undefeated. They're 2-0, 3-0. Like, hey, do they have kids that's playing for Breck? Is this kid too old? Does this kid have his birth certificate, all his paperwork in order? So yeah, teams, other coaches, other teams, they'll start hating, So I can fully relate to that. But one quick question before we transition or whatever. I know y'all in the great state of Texas.
Yes,
in Louisiana, you can be 3-7, you could be 4-6, 5-5, and make the playoffs if you have enough power points. In Texas, is it true like you could be 8-2, 9-1, and not even make the playoffs?
Correct.
Wow.
Because it's the conference. It's the conference. Like, for example, because the conferences are so tough. Like, 1 year there's this high school named Mesquite High School, the Mesquite Skeeters by Dallas. 1 year they were trash, right? But if you look at their conference, most of their conference are all perennial playoff teams or powerhouse teams or teams that always look to go to the playoffs, right? So that's a damn tough conference. So a team like a North Mesquite or something like that, or a
Roulette,
Roulette,
Mesquite Horn,
or Mesquite Horn or something like that that play Mesquite and think they it's gonna be easy win, they may get beat, and that may ruin their playoff chances because um, a lot of these teams' records out here are very deceiving.
Oh, but so basically, kind of sounds similar to the PowerPoint system before they restructured it in Louisiana, because that's why I remember like my junior year, like we hadn't been in the playoffs in years, and we went 4-6. But the 6 games we lost, well, first of all, we went 3-2 in district, and the rest of the games that we lost, like all of those teams, like essentially all of them made the playoffs. So we had so many PowerPoints that we were able to just kind of back our way into the playoffs the way Southern backed their way into the SWAC championship last year. So basically, the PowerPoints kind of helped us. But, I heard stories of teams being like 9-1 in Texas and not making the playoffs.
Yeah,
I'm like, how do you go 9-1 and not make the playoffs?
Because the other teams that beat them out were undefeated or even better.
Wow, that's crazy. That is crazy, bro.
Yeah, and then in North Carolina, I seen it. Last year, a team that ain't win no games went to the playoffs in North Carolina. It was a sad seed, but it was 1A though. It was um a low seed team too. But I mean, the playoff rules in each state is different for what you got to do to make it, or who's going to make it. And
Yeah,
I think they need. I think they need like some filler teams too for the seeds. So I guess they judge it by that as well.
well, you're right, bro. It has to be different from state to state because, like I said, I mean, Louisiana, of course, you could, of course, all the high school teams play 10 games. But if you 3-7 and you make the playoffs, like, bro, those 7 games you lost, probably all of those teams made the playoffs. Or, like I said, they restructured it in terms of they kind of did away with the PowerPoints. But, like I said, I remember my junior year, we went 4-6.
Right.
And, bro, but the thing about it, we went 3-2 in district. And that one non-district game we won, that team made the playoffs. Then all of the games we lost, all of those teams made the playoffs. So, like you said, I guess it's just different from state to state.
And
Yeah,
and to Jared's point, not the but the conference strength of the conference. For example, last year, not in Texas but in North Carolina, where there's a team that was like 6-7-5 that make the playoffs, but they had a weak conference, right? Against a team that was like to your point, like 3-7, something like that, 4-6, something like that, and they beat them, and they got to go to the next round. And to Jared's point is because the conference they came from a tough conference where most of those teams that they lost to in that conference were battling in the playoffs.
or another A, or four A, or a 3A or 4A team.
Yeah. So, and in Texas is like that as well. So, where you get these teams that's 9-1, 10-0, because they got a weak conference, and then they get beat by a team that's 7-5. Especially some of these Dallas and Houston schools, but that's because they had to play the North Shores, they had to play the Duncanvilles, they had to play what school am I missing? The DeSotos
Yeah,
at the beginning of the season, right? Dallas Carter the Dallas Carter or the Suffolk Clips at the beginning of the schedules. So when these teams with these 11-1 or 10-1 records, they get they ass whooped. You just look at who they played. So that was a very good point by Jared.
Yeah, Yeah. So it's all a lot of these to your point, coach, a lot of it can be just the reason why a lot 8-2 or 9-1 school don't make the playoffs is because the other teams that made it were better or um you know was in a tougher conference. But moving along, we're gonna talk about a little bit SWAC ball. I'm gonna add to the stage. Y'all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
So Saturday, here's the lineup: Delaware State versus Central Connecticut State, Virginia Lynchburg at South Carolina State, North Carolina Central versus Elon, which is the game of the week. Um, for the HBCU in the HBCU world, uh, Campbell at Hampton. Campbell just came off that upset loss from North Carolina Central. Tennessee State versus Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State is a very good program, so Tennessee State got their hands full. Howard at Northwestern. Bethune-Cookman at Alabama State. Grambling at Alcorn State. Jackson State at Alabama A&M. Villanova at North Carolina A&T. Florida A&M at Southern. And then finally Mississippi Valley at Prairie View A&M. Now, Coach, going to you, I know you're gonna talk about the Florida A&M at Southern at Mumford Stadium, but what game? And I'm gonna give you a chance to tell me how you think that Florida A&M versus Southern game gonna go. But other than that game, what other games that we can see, or I just said, pops out to you, or you want to watch?
Well, you said basically North Carolina Central and Elon. I disagree. I think in terms of the games that I'm looking at,
Well, that's what ESPN pick is the game for the FCS as far as the HBCU.
well, I know.
We know that could be not really true, but I'm just saying. Go ahead, Coach.
Well, I mean, I know ESPNU is going to be at the FAMU and Southern game, but outside of that, I mean, I think everything else is kind of like a little bit of a wash. But if I had to pick one, I'll probably say Jackson State at Alabama A&M. The reason I'm saying that is because Jackson State, they really not overly impressive, but Alabama A&M, when they came to A.W. Mumford Stadium, my expectation was for Southern to just smack A&M.
Quincy
And bro,
Casey balling.
A&M just did what they would not lay down. They would not quit. They would not stop fighting. And basically, it took Southern like essentially to the end of the game to put Alabama A&M away. So it might not be the sexiest pick in terms of like, of course, I think the FAMU Southern game is bigger implications. Is probably the biggest game of the week in my estimation. But outside of that, in the North Carolina Central game, if I had to pick any other game, is because I think coming into the season, I think just on paper the fact that Jackson State had all of these Power 5 transfers, and J State fans were saying, "Oh, we got a Sun Belt Conference type team," and blah 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 blah. I think many individuals thought essentially they were going to have the same type of team that they had last year under Coach Prime, and as we can see, that's definitely not the case. And the fact that Alabama A&M, I mean, they could be a sneaky team in the East. I'm not saying they're going to play in the SWAC championship game. I doubt that very seriously, but I think that's going to be a tough game, and it's going to have some implications on who could be second in the East standings in terms of the SWAC.
Okay, and I definitely will have my eyes on that game. I will have to say I agree with you that game could be a trap game for Jackson State. Of course, I'm still picking Jackson, but Jackson State, like, that defense is not as we we saw against Texas State and Florida A&M. They definitely can be scored upon.
No,
But also Florida for not Florida, but Alabama A&M. Quincy Casey is balling, man.
bro, I'm not gonna lie. He kind of exposed Southern defense in terms of the lack of discipline. He drew them offside so many times in that game. I'd say somewhere between 5 and 10 offside penalties. And he got so many free plays, And, just the fact that, you talked about J State defense, bro. It's amazing how far they've fallen from last year under Coach Prime to where they are now. Last year they were all out aggressive defense. They played a lot of cover zero and all out blitzed and cover one, and they just got after teams. And this year, bro, they've certain points and certain stretches of the game they can't even get stopped.
Yeah, yeah, it's been rough for this new crop of Jackson State Tiger defense, but
and one last thing I want to point out, I didn't mean to cut you off, bro.
no, you good.
Basically, it goes to show you that you don't play games on paper, you play games on the field. So it could look like a Power 5 type team on paper, but that doesn't mean anything. You have to actually play the games on the field.
That's true.
Agreed.
JB, any input?
Well, I agree with Coach was saying. I'm really looking forward to the Florida A&M and Southern game, though. Um, Maybe Grambling State and Alcorn State. Um, and I'll tune in that North Carolina Central and Elon game. But yeah, that's a couple of games I'm gonna tune in. The rest I'll catch on the tracker.
Got it. And those who don't know, that BCU Go app is fantastic. It's free, so please support. Please, if you got a Fire Stick or a Roku stick, please download that app. Please support. Actually, the Bethune-Cookman Alabama State game will be on HBCU Go. So you may not get the others, but hey, there you go. You got some HBCU football for free. So you can't beat that. Cannot beat that, ladies and gents. But yeah, definitely I'm still picking Jackson State to outlast Alabama A&M, but I will not think it's going to be a walk in the park.
Yeah, me too. I think J State is going to have just enough juice to pull it out,
Do you think Mississippi Valley will take the upset against Prairie View A&M? I don't think so. I think Trevion Conley
not so much.
Will be poised. I like how he's playing. Of course, he threw a couple of interceptions this year, but he's definitely looked better. He's definitely looked better, which I predicted.
So Mississippi Valley State garbage truck juice again this year?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, but just kind of like Alabama A&M, I got to give major props to Valley, because without Valley, Southern wouldn't have made it into the SWAC championship game. But the thing I liked about them, even when they came to A.W. Mumford Stadium and even the following week, like, bro, they're not big on talent, but they're big on heart, And even though, they lacking in the talent department, They're not just gonna lay down and quit. You have to legitimately beat them.
Well, I hope Coach probably not this year, of course, but I hope Coach Kendrick Wade gets it together. When I listened to his interview on SWAC Media Day, um, he convinced me that he's wanting the best for the program, and not just want to make it, and like you said, not just wanting to have heart. He wanted to compete in the SWAC and not just being a spoiler. But it's not gonna be this year though. I know that. um, they may surprise a couple of teams down the stretch, but it's still gonna be the same old song for those Delta Devils, unfortunately. Guys, there's a game. That was a game. Man, I will say the SIAC conference in Division Two HBCU world is on fire. There's so much talented teams. Allen University down there in South Carolina, Fort Valley State. There was a upset, in my opinion, which a lot of the Fort Valley State fans was not surprised. Everybody picked Allen, but Fort Valley State said, "Watch this."
Yeah, I mean, SCIA, they've been known to have some good football at times. And of course, speaking of Allen, Allen was one of like these early games where you use to pad your record when you play against a lower tier team.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they first came on my radar when Southern played them like early in the year. I think they played Lincoln one week and Allen one week. In fact, they play Lincoln next week for homecoming, but they played Lincoln and Allen early that year. And I think they beat Allen like 65 to like 17 or 17, 65 to 10 or something ridiculous. And they beat Lincoln like pretty much the same way. So I've seen like SWAC and MEAC type teams. They play those type of schools early in the year, kind of the way the Power Five play SWAC and MEAC schools early in the year to kind of pad their record. SWAC schools and MEAC schools have been synonymous to doing the same thing for those, SCIE, NAIA type schools,
Yes. And I mean, it's good football, gentlemen. And like you'll see a lot of these schools on HBCU Go app. And it's supposed to be where Division Two HBCU can't touch the SWAC or the MEAC, right? But this year, like schools like Central State, and Miles College Miles College upset Alabama State, and then Central State of Ohio have upset Mississippi Valley.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a team like Alabama State, that game was a trap game. Valley. I hate to say this without sounding disrespectful. Even though they play hard, they have a lot of heart. It's kind of hard for me to see pretty much any team upset Mississippi Valley because they just don't have that level of talent. But I remember Southern playing against a Miles College type team. And like I said, these games are like homecoming type games with Lincoln, Allen, Miles College, Virginia Lynchburg. Because I remember one night Miles College came to A.W. Memphis Stadium, and of course, Southern put a beat down on them, and so many fans just left so early. So that's why me personally, as a Southern fan, I prefer Southern play against a MEAC type school like a Howard or a Hampton, that type of school. Because I remember one year, I think it was Southern and Hampton were like 1 and 2 in the Black College poll, but not just the fact that they were 1 and 2. Most teams, whether they SWAC or MEAC, they don't bring their band with them when they travel on the road. And that night they brought their band with them, bro. That's probably one of the most lit atmospheres I've been to. You know, of course, not. I'm not comparing it to when Southern played against LSU last year, a Bayou Classic or a Boombox Classic. But in terms of just a regular season SWAC versus MEAC game, bro, that was probably the most electric atmosphere I've been in, where all night long the referee had to warn both bands, hey, I'm penalize y'all. Y'all don't stop playing. Of course, Southern band ignored it. Hampton band ignored it. They were 1-2. You know, it was a real good game. Southern won that night, but that's probably, if I could replicate any atmosphere from any just regular season game, that'll probably be the atmosphere I would replicate in terms of the band going back and forth, you know, the excitement during the halftime show, the fifth quarter, competitive game. That's probably like one of the most electric atmospheres I've probably been in my
I
entire
bet.
life, you know, in terms of, you know, outside of a boombox classic, Bayou Classic, Big Easy Classic type game.
I bet, man. Yeah, they be having it lit down there, but you gotta be careful having an Allen or a Miles or Fort Valley State as your homecoming, because nowadays, if you don't act like what's on your roster or the talent that you have, you might F around and get upset.
Well, bro, we'll see when Southern plays against Lincoln. I don't see them having no real issues with Lincoln. I
No,
mean,
I don't know about Lincoln. I think that's definitely a win, but um, schools like Allen and Fort Valley and Miles and even Tuskegee, which Tuskegee did get owned by Alabama State, which that was supposed to happen. But if you're not coming with it, these schools they ain't gonna lay down for you.
I understand what you're saying, bro, but based on, you know, the times Southern has played against Allen and Miles, because I remember when they played against Miles, bro, I'm gonna just be truthful. I think Scotlandville High, Catholic High, Parkview Baptist, one of those EBR powerhouse type schools would have gave Southern just as good a contest as Miles gave them that night. In fact, I'm gonna be truthful. At the time, Scotlandville was, even though they didn't win the state championship that year, they were loaded. I think they probably could have beat Miles that night, to be truthful.
Well, dang. Well, I understand, but nowadays they getting more talented players. Probably not all over the field, but they're definitely out there. So they're not like um the
The old days, I'm
the old
accustomed.
days of blowing them out 63-0. They gonna put
Yeah,
at least 20 or something on you.
yeah.
But we got some football. We got some football, ladies and gents. Of course, we got Power 5 schools. Um, let me go back to my scroll down here. So here's the top 5 rankings. You have Georgia, number 1, Michigan, Texas. Of course, ladies and gents, this may be liable to change. Of course, Ohio State, number 4, Florida State, Penn State, Washington, Oregon, USC, Notre Dame. So, Coach, my question is: you think Georgia gonna run the table again?
Bro, just watching the LSU versus Ole Miss game last week, you know, I know many individuals like, well, you know, Georgia did it, so on and so forth. I understand. Bro, I do not see them running the table in the SEC. And I'm 100% unapologetic about it. The SEC
Okay.
is the killer conference, bro. I just imagine when the UT Longhorns and Oklahoma join. Oh my goodness, bro. I mean, basically the SEC gonna go from a Power 5 to a super conference. So It's crazy, bro.
Yeah, it's definitely will. JB, what you think about Stanford trying to join the ACC?
Why?
Go into detail why you think that's crazy.
Well, Mac Brown was talking about it in his interview. I'm on YouTube. I'm subscribed to the Tar Heels YouTube channel. He said, "Does it make sense? They for them to, especially the trip to go, you know what I'm saying, to the Stanford in California, right?
The West Coast, yeah.
To the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? It messes up their, their how they travel and get back and forth and stuff like that, and that can wear on the team actually.
Yeah, we're the
All that,
ACC. We're at the Atlantic Conference, so if we in the South, it's Southeast, right? And we also have like Pittsburgh, or you know,
Mac Brown wasn't a fan of it. Long story
yeah,
short, and I honestly, he explained it better than I am right now, but I understand. It doesn't make sense.
it doesn't make sense to me either.
Yeah,
Man,
and I mean, I don't mean
and
to
hold
cut you
on,
off, bro.
Coach.
I don't mean to cut you off, but the thing about it is, you know, JB brings up a very interesting point in terms of
He does.
from a travel standpoint, bro. Just imagine, like, if you Stanford multiple times during the course of the year, you're gonna travel from the West Coast to the East Coast, bro. That is ridiculous. And then in addition to that, another dynamic that people really fail to realize is rivalries are basically regional in most instances. Whether you're talking about Southern and Grambling, Michigan and Michigan State, Florida and Florida State, LSU Ole Miss, LSU Arkansas, Miami, Florida State. Like rivalries are regional. So unless you like a national team like a Notre Dame, you could get away with playing USC and it being a rivalry, or Stanford and being a rival, whatever the case may be. But bro, it'll be hard to make Stanford versus North Carolina, or Stanford versus Florida State, or Stanford versus Syracuse. It'd be difficult to make those games rivalries because rivalries tend to be regional in most instances.
I agree with both of y'all. It doesn't make sense. We normally our conference more of the Southeast and little splash of the East Coast, um, like Boston College or Pittsburgh, along that Southeast region. You know what I mean? So it don't make sense to have a Stanford all the way on the West Coast. It don't. So I definitely agree with you, fellas. What's up? Hold on. What's up? The Road Pod, ladies and gents. Please subscribe to this gentleman. He has one of the bombest YouTube channels as far not only Baltimore Ravens content, but just football content. And just please go support the brother. And thank you for coming by. I appreciate you, brother. Go ahead, Coach.
Bro, one last point. Just imagine you're a team like University of Miami and you go play Stanford. Bro, that's 3 time zones.
Yes.
So we're not just talking the travel aspect of it.
Oh, man.
So if you custom to playing at 8 o'clock Eastern time, now you playing at, I don't know, whatever Pacific time. Bro, playing, people don't realize, like, playing at a certain time of day or playing in a different time zone, I'm sure it has an impact on you. Even though technology is so much better, travel is so much more luxurious than it was years past, that still impacts, the way you perform and the way you play. So, bro, I don't even think that's a feasible ask Stanford to move to the ACC. I mean, the only reason I see them jumping from the Pac-10 and Pac-12 to the ACC. Essentially, they feel like the Pac-12 is about to die, and they're trying to jump off before the ship sinks. That's the only reason I can see it. But realistically, I don't see that being a reasonable request of your institution of higher learning to be a West Coast team playing in the East Coast Conference.
Coach, you preaching. You said it better than I could. You can drop the mic and walk away. I mean, there's nothing for me to say. There's nothing for me to. You picked all the meat off the bone as far as on that aspect. It don't make sense whatsoever at all. And ladies and gents, do you see who is on my background? This is Tez Walker. Those who don't know, the long battle of the NCAA not allowing Tez Walker to play with the UNC Tar Heels is over. They have made him eligible. I don't know why it took so long. It should have been never a discussion with the likes of JT Daniels. Help me out, fellas. I know there's a lot of players that jump from team to team and was able to play.
They just sanctioned a kid a week ago, and he was jumped from team to team, and they sanctioned him. But to what the NCAA, what they had this kid go through was ridiculous. It shouldn't have been done because he was at a HBCU. You remember which one, Jared? At first, but then they had the COVID, and he had to transfer. You know what I'm saying? So they stopping him because of that. So, and then everybody else, I saw Pat
He was an
McAfee
Eagle.
talk about it.
He was North Carolina Central Eagle.
See, he was a North Carolina Central Eagle, and that's when the COVID, I think 2021, where they didn't have football at their school. Because some teams didn't have football, some teams did, and some teams didn't. They
It was 2020.
yeah, so they shut it down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he had to transfer, and they
Went to
punished
Kent
him
State.
because of that. So I'm glad he's got the okay now. I'm excited. You know, Drake may now have some speed on the outside. So I can't wait.
Coach,
Congratulations.
Congratulations to this young man. And that means that a big offensive lineman that Coach Prime was trying to have play because it said he was ineligible. It should be time for him to be eligible, huh?
Now I don't know the situations about that, but if it's similar to what this kid go through, yes, they should let them play.
Coach, I'm eager to hear your feedback on this.
Bro, I'm gonna be truthful. You know, I know things have changed a little bit due to, you know, basically COVID, and you have the transfer portal. You know, it's a new thing. It's not like, you know, back in the day where if you went from one PWI to another PWI, one Power 5 to another Power 5, you would actually have to sit out a season. So COVID has changed the world we live in, and it changed the way things operate, move, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, bro, these are still kids. I mean, well, let me phrase that. They are young men. And essentially, you know, I feel like the NCAA over the years, they tend to go by the letter of the law more so than doing what's in the best interest of the kid or the student athlete. the best interest of the young men. So I'm glad he's been set free in terms of them allowing him to resume his college career. But, to me, it's so many times over the years where I'm gonna just kind of be truthful. Like I saw, I remember one year, evidently Southern didn't graduate enough basketball players. So evidently they hit them with some type of sanctions where they couldn't participate in postseason play, whatever the case may be. Yet on the flip side, you have a team like LSU that had so many more resources, and they had more at their disposal, and they graduated a lower percentage of players than Southern. Yet, they just got a slap on the wrist. So I don't know if it was in one movie or one analogy when it came to the NCAA. It's like, hey, you see this person that's speeding and they driving a Honda Civic. They have this PWI, this Power 5, driving a Ferrari. You can't catch the Ferrari, so you go and chase after the smaller car that's not as fast and not as flashy, whatever the case may be. So I think on a lot of levels, the NCAA over the years, they've been synonymous with being hypocrites. One instance, you
Absolutely.
give a smaller school a harsh punishment. You have a bigger school that's violating so many more rules, regulations, and procedures.
Oh,
Yeah,
Coach,
you give them a slap on the wrist.
you open up a whole nother conversation, and I'm gonna ask you, just what you just said. Was the SMU death penalty harsh? JB, you can answer this too.
Severely. The reason I'm saying it is because I understand that SMU was doing way too much at the time. However, I guarantee you, SMU wasn't the only team doing what they were doing. You had a variety of different teams that were doing similar things. Bro, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Those are facts.
I know individuals that, of course, I was referencing LSU earlier when I made the earlier little, hint at school right down the street from Southern.
Right.
But we knew what I was talking about.
Exactly.
But I've known individuals that essentially said, told me point blank, like, hey, they gave me this, they gave me that, they made these concessions for me, they did this to keep me eligible, so on and so forth, bro. And I was in the physical education department at Southern, and those players couldn't dream of getting that type of treatment, those type of grades. If anything, essentially the assistant coaches, position coaches, they made certain that players went to class. They made certain that players went to study hall at least 2 hours every day. So, there were no freebies given. Of course, you might have an isolated incident where a professor here or there might be an avid football fan. But for the most part, bro, football players at Southern was not given any special or preferential treatment. Whereas on the flip side, I heard stories where LSU players weren't even going to class and getting grades, and I've heard other instances where basically, students were given all kind of, this pre-NIL, but they were given all kind of like gifts and cash prizes and vehicles and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, bro, like I say, the NCAA have been synonymous with being hypocrites over the years. That's why I don't know if y'all ever actually watched it, but a movie like The Program, reason, because essentially,
ever since you mentioned that movie, I'll purchase that movie on the Prime just to watch it and study it on my Amazon Prime. And you are so right. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, bro. Basically, it's art imitating life. So that movie came out for a reason.
Yes, sir. That movie was made in the late 80s.
No, it was made in the mid 90s, like
mid 90s,
92. No, like early 90s, 92, 93. The reason being because the school, I don't know if you picked up on it. ESU,
very good, y'all. If you didn't watch it, you need to watch it.
Essentially, ESU is kind of like a spinoff of FSU, Florida State University. And the reason it kind of stood out to me so much because essentially they kind of, instead of using spread the shotgun, they went from a split backfield to I backfield. Whereas at the time, Florida State, they went from a split shotgun to an I formation. And essentially that kind of mimicked the Florida State offense. And of course, the instead of being the Florida State Seminoles, they were like the ESU Wolverines. Bro, they had so many similarities to Florida State, the way they ran their offense and so on and so forth. So to me, I think more than anything, it was art imitating life, you know.
Yeah, that was a good movie. I got a question? Cause you can put two. I noticed that they was imitating Florida State. And what up, Brandon? 86 Ghosts in the building. Another bomb ass content creator. This dude do food reviews. He talk about life, the situation going on between men and women, mental health. He talks about everything. He's a Swiss Army knife. Please go subscribe to this brother, man. He awesome. And of course, he talking about sports, but just let you know he talk about more stuff than just sports. But did Florida State, regarding that movie, try to do a North Carolina A&T? What North Carolina A&T tried to do with Drumline? Like they tried to sue Drumline because they knew the school that Nick Cannon went to. You could tell that was basically North Carolina A&T.
No, actually, at the time, I don't think there was no litigation, but the similarities to ESU and FSU were like ridiculously similar, bro.
It was. I mean, it was the movie a little bit before my time, but I kind of knew it was like, yeah, that's Florida State.
Yeah.
But guys, and Brandon, I'm sorry, bro, you can't. But I thank you for dropping by. Like Jay Barr said, man, damn, hit the like button, y'all. You know what I mean. I know I'm a up and starting YouTube channel, but y'all come in here, press the like button. That's all you doing is clicking the thumbs up. That's all you doing. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for no money. I'm not trying to start no drama or anything. Hit the like button. Thank you, Brandon Brazil. He said, hit the like button on your way, and that's in. like Black said, like Black Fight fan. Hit my like button right now and quit looking at me.
Bro, I miss Black, bro.
Yeah, I miss Black, man.
I
now
Black,
understand
bro.
why he say that.
Yeah.
I want more. If I have 10 people in here, I should have 10 likes. Period.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Now, of course, unlike Black, you know, we're not gonna call y'all no effing monkeys. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I ain't gonna do that.
Yeah.
But people just come here to try to be nosy, see what's cracking, and I don't like, they shit lame. Okay, that's okay. Just hit my damn like button on the way out.
Yes, sir.
That's all right. But y'all, God bless y'all, man. Thank you for those who did come in. Big Joe Town always showing love. Shout out to brother Brent Fox. I know he out there somewhere. He trying to get his stuff back up and running.
Shout out to the brother Jay Good.
Brother Jay Good. Who can forget about brother Jay Good? Whole LDBC family. Ill Will, Junior, Mr. Shelton, all them brothers, man. And then you got the Road Pod, Brandon, OTR Mike, all those brothers, man. He said, "I'm glad I'm glad Seven made it and just landed back home driving." Okay, all right. Well, you
be safe out there, bro.
Yeah, man. Be safe, man. My band, my homie Brandon be traveling, bro. He be traveling. But guys, you know, we got a lot of football coming up tomorrow. Of course, we got the HBCU. We just went over, and then we have um, Colorado playing Arizona State. That should be a good one. Uh, of course, I will say that before we leave, um, we talked about Colorado before the season even started, made possibly dropping the Oregon games, and even when Brandon was on here on the panel with us, he talked about it too. We all knew they were going to drop against the cream of the crop of the Pac-12. So nobody really surprised, but I was impressed with them trying to come rally back and beat USC. But yeah, that talent still needs to be, especially on the offensive defensive line, definitely needs to be addressed on the during the off season. But Coach Prom, in my opinion, is doing a great job. Love him, hate him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But guys, I'm get go ahead. Who want to say something?
Oh, I'm gonna point out one thing. In terms of my last week recap of Southern against Alabama State, I'm gonna try to drop that tomorrow morning. And in addition to that, I'm not gonna have we're not gonna have Bayou Sports Talk tomorrow. However, I'm gonna give my pregame analysis of Southern University versus FAMU tomorrow. So for all of y'all that's in the HBCU football, SWAC football, y'all check me out over on my channel, Coach 67 Sports TV, here on YouTube.
Man, y'all go over there and show my brother some love to Bayou Sports Talk and subscribe and listen to some, brothers from Louisiana, put y'all up on some game of what's going on in the great state of Louisiana sports.
Facts. And I was about to tell y'all to wrap it up and tell y'all where everybody can find y'all, but y'all did that. But guys, y'all be safe, enjoy the games tomorrow. Man, time flying. We in the damn near mid. We already probably, you could pretty much say we in the mid season. But so y'all sit back, whatever worries you got. All my football fans out there, just sit back, open whatever libation that you have, and just watch ball, and don't forget about everything else, man. Just enjoy, because pretty soon football season is gonna be over.
Yes, sir.
Of course, we got XFL and USFL, which is cool, but ain't nothing like college ball and
NFL.
The NFL. So,
yes,
and of course, we will have a show Sunday. I'm gonna try to. Of course, I'm gonna keep you guys updated if there's any changes. But yeah, man. But Coach, I appreciate you so much, man. You a real one.
Man,
For hopping on.
I'm glad y'all brothers have me on, fellas.
We're glad to have you. It's a pleasure, man. And
yes, sir.
JB,
Likewise.
thank you, brother.
It's all love, man. I'm here if you need me, man. And Coach, you welcome anytime, bro. You ain't even gotta ask.
Yes,
Damn
sir.
right.
Yes, sir.
Same for you, Brandon and Brent Fox and Jay Good, all y'all out there. But y'all have a blessed night, man. That was another installment of the Southern Baller Show. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. God bless y'all.
Peace.
Y'all be easy, man.